Yeah, what's good, Joe? It's your man, the Bigga P, and here to lay down my thoughts on the fights, basically pretty much the two main fights of today. Uh, First, in the afternoon, it was Fury versus Cunningham, and I just finished watching Austin Trout versus Canelo Alvarez. First of all, I mean, I'll deal with the afternoon card. I mean, well, for the most part, I like that it was a very full day of boxing. I know we had the European card cleverly retained his light heavyweight title, and Chisora came back in a god awful fight. Um, and it was cool. And then the NBC Sports card was, overall was entertaining, which of course Tyson Fury and Steve Cunningham headlining. Now, I'm not the biggest fan of Tyson Fury. I mean, he's a big guy and he has some power to him, but that's really about it. I mean, there's nothing, no real any decent um, boxing skills. I mean, the only thing I'll give him props on is he improved his actual condition because he used to be a really fat slob. Now he's just a regular 255-pound fighter, not really muscular or any of that, but it's workable for him. Um, and I know he had to do something big on his U.S. debut, and I mean, and of course, I don't find him, of course, really, you know, entertaining or anything in any sense of the word outside of the ring. But I'll get to that a little later. But yeah, I was looking forward to Steve Cunningham. I know after years of being at cruiserweight, he wanted to make the move up to heavyweight. And so far, he hasn't had the best success. I mean, he had that, I think, the first fight at heavyweight, which I think he won a decision. Then he was just flat out robbed against Adamek in their second fight. And I'm thinking, hopefully, and I'm thinking, I wanted, maybe Steve can actually try to outbox me. That Steve was by far the, more physically, had this more skillful boxer. So that's what we played out. Fury pretty much, tried to bully him and use his size, fouling him. And then at the end of that round, I mean, of course, in the build-up, he was talking all types of trash to him, and Steve was just being real classy, just like, no, I'll let my talking do, so I'll do my talking in the ring, and yeah, and I respect, and of course, I respect it because that's real classy. Because I mean, he's not the type to actually go pop off at the mouth like that. Um, So yeah, Fury was just being really dirty to him and even pushing him at the end of the round, which led to the second round, which led to my favorite moment of the fight. You know, seeing Steve Cunningham absolutely land a bomb of a right hand and dropping him right on his ass in the second round. Like it was like one, it was like boom. I was up, you know, just like jumping up and down because that was such a ridiculous shot. And then pretty much after that, Fury cut all that other bullshit out and was trying and basically was just basically trying to use his size to wear him down, which I also found absolutely distasteful. And doing that saved him almost possibly from getting another nut because he walked into another shot and he got buckled, like he got further strike and he just held on, and using his forearm, using his elbow, just to make sure Steve wouldn't get up, get off another shot. And I know eventually the ref did take away a point from him. And then Steve, for the most part, was outboxing him. To me, he was winning the rounds, but it was more or less like, do you like how long? Because Steve unfortunately does have a tendency to fade, and considering he's facing a much naturally bigger man, it was only like how is it going to affect him? And unfortunately, Furious attempted leaning on him and doing the whole John Ruiz stuff on him, and that took his toll. In the seventh round, it was Steve was done. He was tired. He got caught. He was on the ropes, and then he took that right hand that just absolutely flattened him. Um, and it really, I mean, I was really disappointed to see, because Steve fought his heart out, and just to see, you know, Fury once again, winning and talking trash and singing, doing that struggle singing, which absolutely just peeled me off some more. Um, I mean, it left. I mean, it left left a really bad taste in my mouth. But it was a good fight, and above all, importantly, it was a good heavyweight fight. Those are few, far in between these days. I mean, so we're. I mean, from here, I mean, Fury is going, on his quest to get a shot at Vladimir. Um, I don't know if he's gonna be facing either. I mean, most likely he'll probably. I mean, knowing how the heavyweight division works, the heavyweight that makes the most noise, eventually will get a shot at one of them. You know, and Fury is not ready for a Klitschko. He's clearly not. Like I said, all it is, I mean, improved conditioning. That's yes, that's all good and well. But he let a man who's not even at 50%, who doesn't even have a 50% KO ratio, who wasn't even known as a big puncher when he was ruling the cruiserweight division, like drop him heavily. Then this is a man like I mean Cunningham is usually when he does stoppages, they're usually just accumulation, and he let a cruiserweight with no known power absolutely drill him to the canvas with one shot. Now, if Steve Cunningham could do that, what do you think Vlad or Vitaly do? You know, point blank. That's I mean, that's how I see it. I mean, Fury's probably better off trying to maybe feast on a couple more of the heavyweight division. You know, somebody more of his actual bicep, someone who's actually a real, a heavyweight. Not no with no disrespect to Steve, of course, but someone who's actually a legit heavyweight. As for Steve, I mean, he's at a hard place. Like because I mean, he is. I mean, he's getting up there in age. His talent, his punch resistance isn't what it used to be. And he does slow down activity. So I mean, he can continue to fight, but it's gonna be harder for him to actually really get a significant heavyweight fight, much less probably winning it at this point of his career. Because I think personally, I mean, I've said it in other places. I thought Steve made the move to heavyweight a little bit too late in his career. Um, but but like I said, Steve was classy in the field. He gave a good account of himself. So I mean, that's all you can really, that's all you can really ask for, and for the heavyweights. And then afterwards we had the Showtime card. Um, it wasn't really much of a card. I mean, the opening bout featured Cotto's second cousin getting KO within one round from Figueroa. Now that kid, I'm probably gonna watch out for because I liked how he just tore him apart in that one round. And then the main event, of course, was Austin Trout versus Saul Canelo Alvarez. And for the first four rounds, yes, basically, the fight was intriguing. It was a lot of jabbing and such. I mean, I think at the end of the four rounds, I had it even, and I believe they got but one thing that I think really killed this fight was the open scoring. I'm not a fan of open scoring because open scoring is one of those things where if it's if they have if they tell them the scores in the corner and someone has a significant lead, then what it does is that fighter will start coasting or not fighting, and it kills the competitiveness of the fight. And that's what it did. That's what it did. Because one thing with that, because I mean, the scores were were deplorable at that point. I think one of them said had him like 80-72 for Canelo, and I'm like this guy's not even watching the fight. So it forced Trout to be something he's not, which is really aggressive. And you can't really do that against someone like Canelo, who actually has a little pop. And Canelo did score that knockdown in the seventh round. With that right hand, he managed to catch him with that right hand, and Trout did the hucklebuck and before he went to the canvas. But the funny thing in that round is he came back up and he outboxed him for that round. And to me, the fight was close, but the scoring, the scoring just like killed the whole job, especially when it went into the later rounds. It seemed like Canelo was just coasting, And one thing that was still on display, and I've talked about this plenty of times with him, is his stamina. His stamina is still very subpar. Very, very subpar. I mean, he was breathing hard by round 6 and everything. And a more offensively gifted fighter. I mean, if someone who could have really took advantage of that, and I really wanted Trout. I mean, Trout was focusing on the body work, and I saw certain parts of the fight, at certain parts of the fight, and controlling it, but he didn't do it enough. In order to, and not once did he really make Canelo like really wobble, except maybe at the end of one of the rounds with a shot to the chin. Canelo was just, he was still in the fight. He was just winded. um, but yeah, combined with that open scoring, the scores were, scores came in, and Canelo got the decision. Now, I know two of the cards I think, were okay with me, so to speak. I mean, I didn't think it was a robbery. I mean, Trout lost the fight. Make no mistake about it. I mean, I had it 115, 112. But it was the card that had it 118 to 109 that just really just like what, and that's that Stanley Christodoulis. I know he's like, I mean, he's not like a rookie judge. He's been judging fights for the longest time. I don't know what he saw to give Canelo 118, 109. I mean, it absolutely makes no sense to me whatsoever that fight was that, with that score at at all. And I mean, and like I said, between that and like the whole thing just soured me on the fight. I mean, it was, like I said, it was shaped, like every part of shaped up to be a really good fight. But when you got some of that stuff into, when you have that open score on display, and you have, certain things, and other factors in display, and suspect judges, just kills fight. But hey, that's Texas. Texas is not the first, and it's not going to be the last time, probably, that some type of nonsense is going to take place. I mean, Trout pretty much goes back to the drawing board, and Canelo is pretty much, probably working on his way on the fight with Floyd. Now, nothing in this fight suggests, other than maybe some slight. I mean, the only thing I saw that really Canelo proved was he was slipping a lot of the punches, which wasn't bad. But some of the combination punches that he was, when he was facing the smaller fights, like against Josecito Lopez, that was non-existent in this fight. It really wasn't existent at all. And for someone like that, I mean, I just don't see anything that Canelo would do that would actually trouble Floyd at the time, at this point in time. Well, of course, we won't know that until a couple of weeks later when Floyd faces Guerrero, to see what Floyd actually has left. Yeah, but as far as what I saw, that Canelo isn't ready for Floyd, and the right 154 fighter can still upset him if he can take Canelo's power. I mean, Canelo's not the hardest hitter, but he has pretty decent pop, and like I said, there's still a lot of unanswered questions with Canelo, and I still think he's just a little bit protected. I want him to fight out of Texas, fight in Vegas or something, and no suspect, and no weird place. There's no open scoring, and see if he's supposed to fight hard from 1 to 12, instead of coasting like he was doing at large parts of the fight. And like I said, Trout was very classy in his defeat. I mean, it kind of made me sad to see Trout's kids cry over it, but I mean, what can you do? I mean, Trout tried his best. Trout tried to force the fight, but he just didn't. Let's say he just doesn't have. He didn't have the power to trouble him, or the style to actually run. Because that's not. He's not. That's not style. He's not an aggressor. What can you do? I mean, all you have to do is just go back to the drawing board and try to improve on that. But yep, I mean, those are my thoughts on those two specific fights, and yep, and we'll see you probably next week when we have another big weekend of fights next Saturday, and I'm pretty sure it will be a lot more lively, and probably definitely I myself am definitely looking forward to those fights. You know, competitiveness and hopefully some surprises here and there. All right. Well, you guys have a good night, and I will talk to you guys soon. All right. Peace.